check are these two right here on the back of this field. We've caught some critters here before. We caught a coyote here, we caught a cat here, caught a coon here, caught a possum here. And where we are is we're on this back fence with the two holes in it right here, woven wire down that side, woven wire down that side. All the critters are going through this little place in these two holes in the fence from being in those fields and then going into these fields. So this set is a T-bone, and it's clearly messed with. Something's been digging at it. Something's dug our bait. We just completely missed that critter. And over here, we actually caught a critter. And it was a coon. And he completely chewed his foot off. So that's the second coon in the last couple days that we've missed or lost because he chewed his foot off. You can see it was a deep catch, perfect catch. The coons, man, they just do this. It's not like we're not checking them every morning first thing and everything else, but I don't know how you prevent a coon from chewing his foot off, but you can't sometimes. And I don't know why some of them do it, some of them don't. It's kind of amazing to me, but that's what they do. So we're gonna reset this and keep moving down the line. All right, guys, we reset this one after this coon, and we basically have like a debris set kind of like thing now. Big catch circle here. Pounded up some of the, or stacked up some of the grass that was all tore up here. Just put it around there. Put the dirt hole back in. The ground's really, really hard here, and that coon really trashed up the dirt hole. So it's pretty big, but I got it as deep as I could get it. The trap's back in there, and then I shoved that big rock down in there and kind of hammered it down in there to really make anything really have to work at it to get the bait out. We put some, let's see, what did we put in here? Highway 61 from Stex in here is the bait, and we put in a little Katz Brothers Evanescence, which is like this curiosity lure down in there. And then over here in this one where I had the T-bone, we've missed a couple of predators here. Could have been coons as well, but I went ahead and just pulled the T-bone out and put a dirt hole in there as deep as I could get it, and shoved a rock down in there, as you can see, to kind of even make it harder for them to get it out. And then just basically just turn this into a dirt hole versus where it was a T-bone set. And then I put some Top Dog predator bait down inside the hole, and I added some Miranda High Plains Drifter predator call lure down in there as well. And that's it. So these sets have been productive. Hopefully they'll continue to be. And after two misses on this one, I just thought it was time to move that T-bone, do something else with it. And then over here, this one just keeps producing, so we'll just keep letting it sit there. And we've only got another couple, 3 days until all these traps are pulled anyway. So we'll see what happens from here on. So we're here on this little stretch where we've been several times before and showed you video before, and we have a drag right here on this dirt hole, and it's obviously gone. Athena, come here. And so we're gonna get out and start looking for it. Yesterday we caught a cat in this very dirt hole, and it was right over there. But today, just from first glance, I don't see anything. So we'll get out and we'll look around and see what we can find. So once again, we're walking all over the place from that trap up there, and couldn't find it. And here's what we have, another bobcat. It's bobcat like number 8 for the season. This is a good one too. It's a big one. Big old head on him. Yeah, it's a really good one. He's clearly not happy. Hung up on this drag right here in this briars. Athena was the one that found him. And so yeah, another good cat here. And in that same spot that we caught a cat yesterday. So that spot right there has produced 3 cats now in those 2 traps. And just to give you an idea, right up there is where he was. And he went a completely opposite direction that I thought he would go. So we were looking in the wrong spot, and he actually came down the trail, dragging that drag down the trail, and went off right here and got her right here. Good looking cat. Okay guys, just to give you some perspective on where this last cat was, here's our dirt hole right here. We have another flat set down there. We caught a cat and a coyote down there, and now we've caught 2 cats here. So let's walk down this little trail. Generally what happens with these drags, and the drag was thrown back up over in there, is they just go for the thick brush immediately, right away. And yesterday that cat was over there, and the cat and the coyote were over there from that set. They just go right into the thickest brush they could find. But this particular cat, I'm not sure why he did this, but he went down this 2 track, which this is always a concern. I've always thought about this. I'm like, you know, if these animals were actually like people and were smart, they would just run down the 2 track. And these drags, they could go a really, really long way. I'm glad they don't do that, because then we'd lose our traps and the poor critters would get lost, and then they would end up with a trap on their foot, and they'd be hung up somewhere eventually on with a drag, and eventually starve to death or get killed by some critter or something. So this guy came down this 2 track and kept coming down this 2 track, which is unbelievably surprising to me. No wonder we couldn't find any signs, and usually you can follow them with that drag. That, you know, there's leaves and all that kind of stuff where you can follow the drag and follow the trail. But he came all the way down here, and then he jumped off right in here. He started going this way, and he ended up right over there by that log in all those brambles, and that's where he got hung up at. So he came pretty far over here. No wonder we couldn't find him. I would not have found him without Athena's help, because she immediately we looked around for a while, couldn't find him. And then eventually Athena started doing this little thing that she does where she was out ahead of me, and then all of a sudden she would stop, and you could see her ears were up, and she was at point looking at something. And then she would come back to me like, ooh, I don't know that I want to go over there, like she's being almost skittish or submissive. And then as I would walk, she would walk, but she wouldn't get out in front of me like she normally does. She was right with me. So then as we started walking, you know, I saw some movement, and I realized that's where it was, and it was a cat. But this critter made it a long ways, probably as far as I've ever seen a critter go on a drag. So it was some excitement there for a bit. So that's 2 bobcats up in here that we've had some excitement. One that went down this trail and one that went up a tree. So I guess it's always something new out on the trap line.